Hey, real quick, I was hanging around. Um, Look, it's never as simple, right, in real estate as you want it to be. Two things that I would consider doing before I did anything into short term. Number one, if I rehab that property, what's the long term rental market look like, right? If I can underwrite that rehab and still feel like my underwrite of a fair market rent is going to be worth it, then there's no risk at all. That doesn't happen often, but if you own the property and you already have equity and leverage and you're in the right market geographically, there's no risk. Um, you're just doing a value add, you're getting to your deferred maintenance now instead of later. Now, those conditions don't always exist, so here's the conditions that usually do exist. The conditions that usually do exist is I underwrite for a midterm. I do an underwrite to I first I try to evaluate how much growth is going on. I'll give you a really good example, okay, that really goes right in the face of that some of what's being said there. There is a huge need if you look in a lot of college towns for midterm rental spaces. You have more and more universities attaching advanced studies and internships to divisions of companies outside these big universities. So these guys are coming in to maybe get advanced degrees from the universities or work in tandem with the universities for PhDs or working under people that are doing this and so I could think of off the top of my head, probably more than 50, at least 70 university towns where if you went in and you had a midterm situation, right, where you are looking for people that need to be there for 90 days, they need to be in person to do the doctorate thesis with the professor that they've been working with offline for years, or they need to be there for a couple years. Um, you would crush and can crush the space, and we are crushing the space as far as identifying the targets that are going to look good for the clients. Part of my services have pivoted over the last 12 months to just writing checks just for me to give them information on places they think they should place capital, instead of me having to kind of always, my old saying used to be Alfred isn't just any butler, he's Batman's butler. So if I needed to go place the capital, evaluate the capital, solve the problem, I'd get on the plane, I would do that. Now, just for the information that I'm gathering, and sometimes that still requires a flight, I can get a check just for that. I've gotten four just in the last probably 6 months where that's exactly what they're targeting and they're doing well. Two of them are already doing well. The other two will do well as they move into there to spring and summer. So if you had a property that can have a backup plan as a midterm rental situation, you're going to get more money for the Airbnb, but not as much as you think over a midterm. When you look at the hassle, usually you're going to do third party property management and they're going to charge 25%. With midterm, you may or may not have to do third party because you're only turning, 2 to 6 people a year in a unit instead of 2 to 6 people a month in a unit. So it's a whole different situation as far as cleaning and timing, and you're running less like a hotel and more just like a house that has a couple more tins and turns and is furnished, and you're getting paid a premium for that. Not only is that premium above and beyond the fair market rent, sometimes it becomes quite the premium when other people come into the mix, like, hey, our house just got in a fire, or you know what, we just sold our house because of what's going on and we need a place to stay for 6 months with the family and kids. We'd rather have a 2 bedroom, 2 bath property than we would, be at a hotel. So that there's lots of things and ways to come out ahead and come back equal to that same math that an Airbnb might do in kind of what I will call a B minus or C plus performing situation. So that would be something to really take a look at. As far as the general statement of investment, um, I think it's the knowing what you're doing with Andre. I'm 100% on that. I think part of that, what I would define in the knowing what you're doing, is knowing where you're doing it at, because you could have half the knowledge of someone that has twice the knowledge and be in the right market in the right sector right now, and you're going to be fine. So it really, really comes. We've never been as segmented in performance and security in real estate as we have been now. Like, there literally are so many different situations, but they're easy to pick up on. When I say that this niche exists, that's several, that's probably at least 20, 30 million population. And there's, probably a couple thousand housing units that you could go out and buy. And if you wanted to go do this, you wouldn't even have to worry about buying them under value. You just need to buy them at a fair market price, have a good plan with them, and buy them in the right location. And if you'll do that, in that particular situation, you'll do that. Is that exactly what you wanted? No, but that's the closest that you're going to get to that. So evaluate your asset, your geography and your situation, and look at your equity picture and your cash flow picture. And if those things line up, then I would just push you into have a plan B. And my plan could be fair market rent, or my plan B could be midterm rent. And in both cases, I could probably pull it off. If I don't feel like I can get those two things, I can't pull it off.
Just to piggyback off of Shane's comment, I couldn't agree more. Location, 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 but also demographics, demographics, demographics. In the hopes of sounding racist, sexist, ageist, and classist, female Asian med students are the best cohort to rent to, in my humble opinion.
Well, my property in Western Pennsylvania is located extremely close to a college, and we were a little bit kind of scared, with COVID, what happened. We had about 35 to 40 tenants that were college students, and when COVID hit, my partner and I were, kind of thrown into a, it was so impactful because everybody vacated, and the vacuum had to be filled, via my partner and I. So, um, I think subconsciously we kind of moved away from that because of the volatility. If something grand happened again, we said, okay, let's lean into the market and really sink our teeth into something that is essential, that's gonna last. And I think that's kind of where we've kind of fallen short the last couple of months, and kind of relied on the market again. And so we're a little bit shy of trying to expand out and get other, what Shane said yesterday, and and I've never heard of it before, called vendor rents, because I've always just rented to people that have come into my office, people that come into the manager's office, and we rent the apartment. We're a small business. We're only a couple of hundred units, nothing. We're under 1,000 units, and we've never actually engaged in Section 8. We've never really kind of gone outside the scope. We were in a situation in Western Pennsylvania. There's a college there. We had a ton of college students, and that was great. And then COVID happened, and all of a sudden they left, and were almost half vacant. So we were kind of confused, and we are shy to kind of take that risk again, and said, okay, we're going to go right into the market. We're going to force appreciate, and we're just going to say, hey, we're going to give you the product. Here's the product. Here's the price to that specific market. It's an extremely tertiary market. I don't know what's beyond a tertiary market, but I'm sure we sit on the border of a tertiary market into whatever's beyond that. So our whole strategy there, and Airbnb came about, and we said, oh, maybe we can do Airbnb because, where this is, there's tons of hotels in the area, and they're always booked. Like if I go out there to visit the property, every hotel's booked. So we were like, oh, maybe we should do Airbnb, because all the hotels are booked, and maybe we would get traveling nurses or oil field or energy workers, whatever it may be. And we were thinking, if we did that, instead of giving a year lease and we gave you a month to month, we could get a premium, because as a landlord, all of your value and equity is in the lease going forward. If you're going to the bank, or you're going to an appraiser, or you're going for refinance, all your leases are what matter. So we said, all right, maybe we can do a premium lease and capture the cash flow. So that was my thought for Airbnb. As to this particular area in Western Pennsylvania, that just seems to have a tertiary market with a lot of hotels. So that was my thought.